hope everybody's enjoying the transition to fall as the weather gets nice and we spend more time outside. I know I sure am, especially with a new puppy running around at home. But I wanted to talk about something that to me is somewhat fairly close to me, but it's also one of those things that is kind of taboo to talk about every once in a while, just because we feel like we could hurt someone's feelings or something of the sort. And what I'm really talking about is our relationship with food. Now, I'm going to talk about it from an athletic perspective and how important it is to make sure that athletes have a healthy relationship with food. And that's really where I'm going to go with this. Now, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of story about myself. And as many people know, I was a collegiate soccer player. I went to school to pursue physical therapy, but also soccer was my life. As most youth athletes, soccer was something I had grown up playing from the time I was 4 years old and continued throughout school. And one of the things that I will say is that my collegiate performance and my soccer career in college was lackluster. I was always injured. I was always hurt. I had had 2 more knee surgeries at that point, that making it number 3. And I never returned to the best of my performance. And there's something other than just being injured that I can kind of contribute this to, and that would be a poor relationship with food. Now, this is kind of how it came about. And when I was a sophomore in college, I think I just really didn't enjoy the food in the dining hall. So I said to my parents, I'm going to cut back my meal plan. We'll save a little bit of money and I'll work on cooking for myself. My mom's a great cook and I think I just missed home style cooking. And luckily I've inherited that from her now. But the one big thing with that is that I noticed, I just started to skip meals. I didn't have breakfast. I didn't have lunch. I'd eat something for dinner, or I might go eat my one meal in the dining hall at dinner time. And that was not okay. And over time, I started to see even more of a decrease in how much food I was intaking. I would eat nothing for breakfast. I'd have a cup of coffee. I'd then move into, say, possibly eating like a grapefruit or a piece of fruit at lunch. And then from there, I would go and I would basically have something instant, whether it be ramen noodles or like an instant stuffing or instant mashed potatoes for dinner. And think about this. I'm playing soccer 6 days a week, and that's what I'm fueling myself off of. Over the years, I would see a decrease in my performance. I had no energy. I was stressed out because of school. There were years where I looked extremely thin and in shape, and maybe I felt great about my body, but my performance on the field was suffering, and my rehab was suffering. I will say, throughout all of my rehabilitation from all 3 of my surgeries, I don't think that I ever regained my full athletic potential. I was never forced to return to my performance. And I think part of that had to do with the lack of energy that I had available for my body to actually really heal. Now, that's a problem. And I'm seeing it more and more in athletes of all ages, not just youth athletes, not just females. Males have this too. I see this more in athletes who really have an appearance-driven sport. So whether we're dealing with dancers or runners or gymnasts, those are big ones that I see. Weight dictates kind of performance. At least that's what people think. And if we don't have a healthy relationship with food, we're not going to have the energy to perform well. So I want you guys to think about a few things. Now, with athletes, it's typically a subject that doesn't get talked about often. It's not like we sit down athletes at the beginning of preseason or sit down with athletes at the beginning of preseason and talk to them about their diet and how food fuels their performance. I don't think that ever happened to me. And I don't think that ever in college when I was performing poorly did anyone ever sit down with me and say, hey, what are you eating? Never. My limited calories per day kind of fueled my injury-stricken career, and I don't want people to end up in that boat. The thing is that weight loss doesn't always occur with a lack of energy or with kind of eating less calories. Sometimes if we don't eat enough calories, our body's going to start storing and we're not going to lose weight. So parents, if you think that your child necessarily might have some type of disordered eating, and that doesn't mean they have an eating disorder. I never really had an eating disorder. I loved food. I would eat it when it was available. I just had a poor relationship with food at that point. you need to look at it. You need to look at it not from a weight loss perspective. So if they're not losing weight, that doesn't necessarily mean that their energy is poor. There's overtraining that goes into this. If you're not eating enough and you're training a lot, then heck, if somebody's training a lot, I'm not going to tell you a caloric count. I am not a dietitian, but you can't listen to Dr. Google about those things. If you're training 7 days a week and you're eating like 500, 600, 1,000 calories a day, that is by far not enough food. At least I know that. But once again, I'm not a dietitian. And if you needed some dietetics advice, I could 100% refer you to somebody, some colleagues of mine that can really lead you guys in the right direction. But there are many things that can lead and point to an individual who has disordered eating and poor performance. Like I said, so we may see weight loss with disordered eating or with a poor relationship with food. And we might see a lack of performance, so poor performance on an athletic spectrum. But the other things that we have to think about are bone health. Okay, that's another thing. If we have low energy availability for 5 days, only a matter of 5 days, we can start kind of noticing a decrease in bone deposition. So we're not growing as much, or we're not keeping as much bone in our body, and that could eat away. What that means is basically if I have a youth athlete or any athlete who has low energy availability for 5 days, this puts them at a higher risk of a stress fracture or a full fracture as compared to their other teammates or their other counterparts, not even teammates, just the people they're competing against, our competitors. It also decreases their ability to heal. Yeah, I said that, ability to heal. So I see this often with people rehabilitating from injury, especially because they don't want to gain weight. It can also impair rehabilitation time, which is not fun. None of my rehabs went smoothly. None of them went as according to schedule or the fast path, which is fine with me. And not everybody's going to be able to take the fast path. However, if I ate more, maybe it would have been different. Aside from bone health, we also have to think about mental clarity and cognition. Sometimes we'll be murky, we'll be cloudy, we'll be lethargic, we'll be tired. We might have GI distress. We might have cramps, bloating. Those are just some other things. And there's a whole other list of things that we can also see. A lower body temperature. If we have blood work done, anemia, iron deficient anemia, we can see lack of vitamin D is a big one as well, and calcium, right? We can see those things all start to deplete in the body if a relationship with food, a healthy relationship with food is not there. So if I can give you guys any ideas as to where to take this next and where to take this information, talk to your athletes about it. Talk to your kids about it. If you're an athlete yourself and you feel like you're not performing to the best of your abilities, this could very well be an area. It's not only about overtraining, but it's also about underfueling. And if your body's not fueled nearly enough, you may not be able to kind of perform to the best of your abilities. I've been there, and I don't want it to happen to other athletes, especially in the realm of injuries, bone stress injuries, fractures, healing. That's my realm in this. I want people to get better. I want people to be strong, and I want you to be able to perform to the best of your ability. And fuel comes from food, which is extremely important. All right, guys, if you have any questions about this, please feel free to reach out. As I have stated, I am not a dietitian, but if you are looking for basically diet advice, I can refer you guys to people who really do help with kind of creating a meal plan in regards to your sport and performance. I am just here on the performance spectrum trying to get people back to doing what they love and performing to the best of their ability. So I hope everybody, like I already said, is enjoying this transition to fall. I love it. It's my favorite time of year, and I will be back again soon with another topic. It might be more related to this. If you do want to look up some more research by yourselves, relative energy deficiency in sport is the actual term for this. I didn't want to throw it out there too much because I don't want to throw out too many big terms, but if you check out the blog that we recently posted, you'll find some awesome links in there. All right, guys, once again, if you have any questions, go ahead, feel free to reach out.